What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Win With Nabs episode based right here at the top-ranked gym in Las Vegas with none other than a very special guest in Nico Ali Walsh. So let's get straight into the action and right into the interview. Brother, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We're super excited to get into this episode. So let's start with the family. You are the grandson of, in my opinion, and many others, the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. What was it like growing up for you in such an amazing family and with such a great figure?
Man, it was completely normal. I've never seen my grandfather the way that everybody else does. He was, when I was born, he's my mom's dad. So when I was born, I had no other grandfathers. He was my only grandfather, so we were super close, and you know, he spoiled us, and he was just kind of my hero, just because, you know, your grandfather is really always like your hero, but like the stuff he did made him even more of a hero. So for me, it was just like a normal life with just someone that everyone happened to love.
Is there anything particular, especially we see this a lot with our grandparents, certain habits, when the way they get their coffee in the morning and their habits? Is there anything like that you'd like to share, or something you picked up on when you were younger?
There's a million things. I'm a firm believer in just genetics, and genetics are crazy. Like small stuff, like you said, like little ticks that people do. Like I do stuff that my dad does. I do stuff that my mom does. I do stuff that he did. I don't know in particular. We have the same sense of humor, just like a dumb sense of humor. I think I've known that since I was a little kid. I would make jokes at the wrong times, and that's kind of the person that he was. He was making jokes up until, you know, his last few days here. So, yeah, I would say it's sense of humor.
What's your worst joke?
Man, it depends on the situation. You gotta catch me on a bad day, and then I'll get. I think my jokes are funny, so I don't know if I have a worse joke.
And since you were in this family with such an esteemed boxer and big figure, did you ever feel like there was a pressure for you? Well, you know, maybe this is something I need to pursue, or is it just separately from that you decided on your own, I want to do this?
I never thought about boxing, really. I was around boxing because of him. Like, you know, they would put gloves on me while he was at the gym, you know, hitting the bag, that kind of stuff. But I never thought about boxing. The pressure that I had was just, I knew a lot of people knew him. I didn't know like everyone did, but I knew a lot of people knew him. So when I was in school, I just was always pressured, like in my head, to just be on my best behavior, get good grades.
You got to keep the family name up.
Yeah, just keeping everything up. But it was outside of boxing. I never really thought about boxing like that.
So what made you start thinking about boxing then? If you weren't thinking about it before, you were focused on all the other things, making sure you were presenting well. So what brought you into boxing?
I slowly started like picking up boxing gloves and then and wanting to fight people in my neighborhood. And I sort of did that, and you know, everyone kind of gravitates to boxing at one point or another because it's like fun, because it's kind of like a
it's
party
a cool
trick,
thing. It's
almost.
It's also, I think, what's unique about boxing. It's fun cardio.
I mean, it's very simple. What guy, like when you're hanging around with your guys, what guys don't want to punch each other?
100%.
You throw some boxing gloves down.
You rough house with your dad. You mess around all the time.
Of course.
You know?
So that's where it started, but I took it too far where I wanted to do it every day, and then people were like, "Okay, I'm sick of doing this." And then
I don't want to mess with this guy.
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't want to mess with him no more. And then I just kind of fell into I felt the love for the sport, and then I was like, maybe I should take it more seriously.
So give us a little bit of a timeline. I know you had 30 amateur fights before.
Oh, no. I didn't even have that, yeah.
You didn't have 30?
No, dude, not even close to there, yeah. No, it was hard for me to, like, remember all the fights, but I have more pro fights now than I did amateur.
Really?
And I only have 13 pro fights? Yeah. So I had less than 13 amateur fights, yeah.
So let's go off of that. So you spent such little time as an amateur, and you went, I think in 2021, right? You turned pro.
Yes.
So what made you realize, like, I'm good enough right now, even when you're still very early, and still are very early in your career, to make such a big shift?
Man, I think what can make a pro is not the experience, but the dedication and the discipline, and that's never been an issue for me, discipline. I've always, if I wanted to do something, I wanted to go 100% with it, so that was never a problem. The experience has never, like, worried me. You know, it's just, I always thought, like, when I was little, I was thinking, like, can I actually do what these guys at the highest level do. And when I turned pro, I realized that, like, yeah, I can.
I want to pick on that a little bit. You're talking about discipline. It's never been a problem for you. I
Yes.
want you right now, look into the camera and tell the
Yes.
person at home who doesn't know how to be disciplined and wake up every single morning and chase their dream, tell them what they need to do to turn their life around.
Man, this is tough because honestly, I'm a firm believer that if I gotta talk to you to how to be disciplined, you're not gonna be disciplined. You know, if you do want to,
If you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen.
Yes, if you want to snooze that alarm, if you want to sleep an extra hour or not going to the gym today, don't. You know, that's my thing is like, don't. There's people who do. There's people who do wake up an hour earlier and go to the gym, or there's people who do run that extra mile, literally. Those are the guys that will make it. The people who I have to talk to and force to be disciplined, nah, I'm not.
You don't think that the Instagram motivation is enough to change someone's life?
Instagram, the stuff that I see, like I see David Goggins talking all the time. He's got incredible motivation. That kind of motivation is for people who are motivated most of the time, but who like they dip and they need that extra push.
So I'll tell you about myself.
Yes, please.
We were talking about it beforehand. I lost 100 pounds through boxing. Big fan of
Holy
Goggins
crap.
and everything that
Wow.
he's a part of.
Goggins is
Thank you. I
awesome.
appreciate that. And it's so interesting that you say that because for me, it was less about getting that motivation to do things. It was
Yes.
more about how do I change my mindset and the way I approach things so that when I go after a goal, I give it 100% of what I have. Because for me, I actually don't think motivation was ever the issue. It was just how do I relentlessly go after something, you know, and implement it into my own life and the way I structure my the things that I do and create better habits.
I think you're probably the ideal candidate for like what I'm talking about. Like when you said look at the camera and tell the person at home, you're the ideal candidate because motivation is so
it's
hit or miss.
It depends on the day. You know, sometimes you don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes it doesn't work.
I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of the time, I'm not motivated to come into the gym or to like when I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. to go on a run at the mountain. Like I'm not motivated to do that. Like
wait, let's talk about that really quick. So I come from Florida. We got flat land.
Yes.
You know, running outside, it's hot, but you know, there's no altitude. What's it like running with altitude?
It's not fun. It's terrible. You know, they say the air is thinner, and you don't really know what that means until you feel it. The air is literally thinner. It's harder to breathe. I would compare it to like you're wearing like a gas mask, or you're wearing something that covers your mouth. It's harder to get air.
You're getting
in and
less
out.
oxygen.
You're getting less oxygen.
So
literally.
I want to before we go back to the discipline point. How much do you think that's helped your cardio though? Because that's
a
got to
ton.
be big
A
time.
ton.
When you see
a
all
lot
the
of
best
these
fighters.
guys do their camps in Colorado now, which is higher altitude than here, and they do their camps up in the mountains, and they live there like all of camp, so like 8 weeks or whatever. And by the time they come to lower land, whether it's Florida or Vegas, they're breathing like fish. Like they can breathe, you know, endlessly.
Dude, it's crazy. So let's go back to what you were saying.
Yes.
So sometimes there's mornings where you don't want to wake up and go for that run.
Of course. Yeah. No, I'm not motivated. I would say I'm motivated half the time. I think motivation is hit or miss. It's discipline that is what is going to make someone successful. And you're the perfect candidate from what you said, that maybe you don't have that motivation, but you do it anyway. That's what I have to do. You have discipline, and discipline is more of like a trait. Motivation is like is a feeling. Some days you feel
100%.
motivated,
and the motivation can help you when you're disciplined.
Yeah.
But if you're not disciplined,
if you're not
it doesn't
disciplined,
matter.
motivation
Nothing matters.
Motivation will just do, you know, what the people on Instagram do. It'll get them hyped up for a second, and then on to the next, you know, reel or whatever.
So let's keep talking about your career. So you've been on cards with some of the best fighters in the world.
Yes.
What do you think it's like to fight with the kind of pressure knowing that eventually I'm going to work my way all the way up to the top of the ladder, but I'm getting to share the stage with some of the world's current greats? Because that's a pretty cool thing as well.
No, it's amazing. And honestly, I don't even see it when I fight on these cards. You know, I've fought on some awesome cards. Like the first one that comes to mind is like Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. I was on the pay-per-view portion of that card. It was amazing. And it was here in Vegas. So that, I don't even think of the pressure of that. I don't think like how high stakes this fight is. I'm more humbled that I'm even in that experience, because there's people all around the world who would die to be there. And I'm just like, I just say my prayers. I'm just like, I'm more blessed to be in that situation than I am nervous or, you know, feeling some type of way. So it's it's a blessing to be able to be nervous.
What I also imagine as a young fighter, you're getting, I mean, obviously you've trained, and we're going to get into this later, you've trained with some of these elite athletes, but I think being able to share the stage with them as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just training alongside them, but I'm also getting to, on the same night, fight in the same ring as them.
I know.
You get to warm it up for them. You get to make sure
amazing.
that when you get to the highest level, you've already been there.
Yeah, literally. I mean, at this point, I can't say, 13 fights in or whatever at this early stage of my career, I can't say that I fought at the highest level, because the highest level is the main event.
Of course.
But I fought on the highest stage. I fought on the main
same
card.
Canvas.
You know what I'm saying? The main card, the same canvas, the same crowd atmosphere. So I'm used to that. Feeling. But once you make it to that main event spot, that's when you really know that you've made it.
So in your career, you've spent some time with some elite coaches like Sugar Hill Stewart, and
Yes.
you've had so much great takeaways from them. Let's talk about him in particular.
I love Big Shug.
Is there anything you took away from his teachings that really stuck with you and that you still implement in your day-to-day training, or at least the way you approach life?
Course. Yeah, no, Shug is like freaking, he's family. Like we talk all the time still. So he's, the biggest thing that he would focus on in training is knockout power. And that, I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's not. The way that he would hit the bag and the way that he would turn punches to hit knuckles, it wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. A lot of these trainers that I see today, they hit pads and it's like patty cake, easy stuff, but Shug was very intentional, where it's like everything's turning, everything is like, not full force, but full, like 100% technique. And I love that about Shug. And he comes from that Kronk, background, so he knows what he's talking about.
Let's talk about that really quick. What do you think is one thing people always miss when they're trying to hit hard? It's like if you took away one thing from that training and you think it's easier to implement, it's just something people don't think about. Maybe it's a way you position your feet or how you're punching. What do you think that is?
I would say anytime someone strains to hit hard, you're not gonna do it. Anytime you have to do, like anytime someone says, okay, knock this guy out, and you do, anyone who has to do this,
pull back.
It's not happening. It's not happening. Like anyone who has to strain to do it, like knockouts come just from simple, perfectly placed shots. So I would say knockout power comes from technique. Instead
of just like actual raw strength.
Just raw strength, yeah, because you can knock someone out. You see some of these knockouts in boxing lately that you just tip the chin and they're out.
It's gotten so technical now.
I know.
That it literally, you have guys who are way smaller. I mean, even if you think, it wasn't obviously a knockout, but you had Crawford's dominant performance against Canelo recently. Yes. Obviously, Crawford was the much smaller guy going into that fight, and he still looked very, very good. His punches were landing, and they were landing hard.
I know. No, and Bud isn't like, he's not known as being like a knockout artist like say Beterbiev, but he was landing every shot against Canelo.
And they hurt. Those shots hurt.
Yeah, but
shots.
I mean, Canelo could.
He's a dog.
He could take a shotgun shot and still be walking. It's Canelo, but like the fact that Bud was able to do that against someone at that level is just absolutely.
Well,
insane.
that's what happens when you put two of the best boxers in the current era.
That's why I was so excited.
I'm really honestly, I really want to see another. I want to see that happen again.
That fight was. I was so stoked for that fight. That was the fight of the century. That was like our fight that we can be talking about in my lifetime so far.
So let's keep going on that notion. So you actually have trained a little bit with Bud.
Yes.
What are those experiences like? What's he like as a guy, and just as a training partner in person?
Man, training with Bud is like it's so weird. Bud is a different dude. Anyone who knows Bud knows he's just I don't know. He's not human. I don't know what's wrong with him, but him and his whole team, they're family. Like I swear, like Bud seems like a brother that I never met. I never knew till like the last few years. But training with him's amazing. I've learned so much, and it's amazing being part of their camp.
So let's talk about some of the tougher things about being a fighter. Obviously, sometimes you lose, right? And I'm a
Yes.
very big believer that winners lose more than losers do.
Of course.
And it's important to fight through adversity and have losses, because
Yes.
if you don't have losses, you won't be able to enjoy the wins as much, and you're not going to be able to work as hard to
Yes.
figure out how to perfect every aspect of your game. So you've had a few losses in your career.
Yes.
And you were actually able to avenge one of your losses. So walk us through, what was the process of, you went into the depths of and you came up on top. So what's
Yes.
that like?
Well, I mean, in my career, I have so many haters who don't like seeing me all the time, seeing me on these cards and seeing this and that. So they were just waiting for me to lose. And then when I did lose, they were just happy. And I knew that was going to come, and it didn't really bother me. But yeah, you get knocked down a huge. If you're on a pedestal, you get knocked down a bunch when you
100%.
lose, and people treat you different.
So I've always found that very interesting, because for me, I don't see why people care that. This is my perspective.
Yeah.
Why people care so much, because if you watch other sports, watch the NFL, you watch Major League Soccer,
Yeah,
watch
yeah, yeah.
literally any
Even the
other
UFC.
sport, even the UFC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any other sport in the world, it's okay for the best athletes to lose. LeBron James has lost games.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan has lost games, right? You have
Yeah.
Tom Brady has lost the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have all of these elite athletes who have lost before, but I feel like in combat sports, but specifically boxing, there's
Yeah.
fans don't allow the margin for error, whereas I view it as this is just a chance to improve
No,
and get better.
I'm not even a part of that. Like, my favorite boxers of all time, none of them are undefeated. Not one of them. So I'm not a part of that. I believe that anyone who pushes themselves is going to eventually lose in some way. Maybe it's not an actual loss, but maybe it's a bad performance or a bad night or anything. Like, you have to experience loss to reach that legendary status. And when I took that first loss, I knew immediately that it just wasn't my night. I thought I won the fight, but that doesn't matter. The judges' opinions matter more than mine, and I knew I was going to get it back, and I did. And then during that fight was just the worst experience in my life. During the rematch, when I was beating the dude, I knocked him down, and then in the next round, I was like, I'm gonna take it easy on him. It was a 6-round fight. I said in the next round, I'm gonna see how he feels, and then I'm gonna take him out. And then just before I was about to take him out, my shoulder dislocated, which I didn't know at the time, but it didn't just dislocate, it tore. Like, the ligaments completely tore. And so
You fought through it.
I had to fight through it, but for 2.5 rounds, I couldn't tell my corner or anybody that my shoulder was out. Like, I couldn't tell them that something was wrong. So I would go back to the corner and just be like not even hearing their instructions, but just thinking like, I can't throw. Now I'm one-handed. Now I've got to figure out how to do this with one hand. So then it came to the end. I ended up winning the fight, and but after that, the road to recovery after that was brutal.
So let's walk it through that, because a lot of athletes face those kinds of injuries.
Yes.
Whether it's a freak accident or it happens as the nature of the sport. So how do you come back from an injury? Because I think I was reading a statistic the other day. It's like 40% of athletes who have an injury suffer from some sort of depression or something, because it's really hard. You're thinking about your career.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in there. So how do you maintain a positive attitude and get through that injury?
Man, I'm so, because of my family and my lifestyle, I'm so spiritual and dedicated. I'm Muslim, so I'm very dedicated to my religion. And, we as Muslims, we pray a ton. So that's what got me through my injury. I had doctors telling me I wasn't going to fight again. Like, I wasn't even paying attention to the stuff they said. I was just thinking in my head, whatever God has planned for me is going to happen. So, but yeah, it was rough. But for people who are injured, don't do what I did. I rushed right back into a fight. The doctors told me to wait a minimum of a year. I waited 7 months and jumps right back into a fight, and then I lost that fight. So then it's like, take time.
You got to take your time off.
Be smart.
You got to relax and make sure you treat the recovery super well.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when I broke part of my ankle, the way I went into physical therapy is no phone for the next hour and a half that I'm here. I'm just focused on rehabbing and getting better, because if you don't treat it like it's game day, like it's the fight day or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, it's not going to get better. You have to take those things super seriously because you don't want
Yeah.
later in your career to have other issues that come
No,
back up.
I know.
Because you
You
didn't
don't want
treat
it
it
to
well
pop
the
up
first
again.
time.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. It's very smart. And as much as the doctors told me to wait, I should have just listened. But I didn't. And then I rushed back into the next fight after the surgery, after the injury. And during that fight, I was like, oh, my arm doesn't feel fully healed. And then I was like, I'm back to where I was, where now I'm afraid that I'm going to rip my shoulder again. And then it went to the decision, and they gave it to the other guy, and I was just like, that's on me. I should have waited.
But you learn for next time. 'Cause
Yes,
like
I
I
learned
said,
for next
like
time.
you see from all the
Now I'm
losses, there's
different.
something
Yes.
to learn from every time.
That's right. That's right. You learn more from your losses than wins.
100%. Because I also feel like when you win, especially let's go back to this idea of a bad performance. If you win and you have a bad performance,
Yes.
and you don't have someone calling you out, you're less likely to go back and say, what from this fight or what from this whatever it is in life, what did I do wrong that I could do better? Even if
Yeah.
you still come out victorious, but you're way less likely than if you lose. How do I improve? How do I get better? How do I stop myself from losing
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
So it is sometimes important to have those kinds of moments. So let's move on a
Definitely.
little bit.
Please.
Something I like to ask all the guests on the show is, what has been the toughest fight of your life? Doesn't actually have to be a literal
yeah.
fight. Could be an event that happened.
Yes.
What is it for you?
Easy. It's going back to that injury. That road to recovery was the most physical. It was the most physically brutal pain I've ever felt in my life. It was absolutely awful. I don't suggest you get yourself hurt. I don't suggest pushing through it. Bad. That was my worst fight.
So let's move on to the next parts of your career. Now you're going to be doing the Thrilla in Manila 2.
Yes,
Right? You're
yes.
bringing back a great tradition,
Yes.
great fight. So what are you looking forward to most in that fight? And I guess just when you think about your career at large, where do you see yourself being at in the next 5 years?
Man, in the next 5 years, I see myself with a title. I see myself just climbing the ranks. That's what I'm doing. I'm the only guy like of my kind who's got almost no amateur fights and got shot to. My pro debut was on ESPN on the main card. Like, I'm the only guy that's doing that. So it's weird, and I'm getting used to it, and I'm learning on the job. But things are going great. So that's where I see myself in 5 years, inshallah. And after that, what was the other question?
The other question is just fighting.
I was thinking about that title.
Thrilla in Manila. Hey man, you got to visual. If you visualize it and you see it,
I'm
and you
huge
believe
on
in
visualization.
it's gonna happen.
I'm huge. I see things before they happen. I just wait. Sometimes people don't believe me. I wait for other people to see them. But the 50th anniversary of the Thrilla in Manila, I'm able to be a part of an event that is like commemorating my grandfather and Joe Frazier. It's being held. The fight's going to be in the same freaking Coliseum that they fought in. So
It's amazing, man.
It's amazing. I love repeating history, or just being a part of like the repetition of history and kind of creating my own path. I love that stuff.
So what does it feel like for you as the grandson to be able to like, I get to 50 years later,
Yeah.
I get to share the same stage that grandpa
It's
did.
amazing. It's amazing. And I think anyone would feel the same way. They just adding to their family's legacy, whether it's boxing or, tennis or football, not even a sport. If you're into computers and someone in your dad or grandfather was into computers, just kind of going down the same path as someone
Being able
you
to honor
looked
what
up.
they
Yes.
did.
It's so special, and it's very personal and family oriented for me. If no one on earth knew my grandfather and he was still who he was, I would still be fighting in his same area, and I would still feel the same way I do right now, where it's like I'm like, man, this is such an honor that I get to follow his footsteps.
That's awesome. And I think, well, let's talk about this a little bit. So you obviously have the amazing family legacy, but how do you separately branch out from that and say, I want to build my own legacy and I'm my own person as well? Because obviously everything that you do there's so many critics and people and haters and naysayers that they're always going to be there. But you in particular, compared to a lot of other boxers, have so much of this other pressure because, oh my gosh, it's the GOAT's grandson.
Yeah.
We got to see what's going on with him. So how do you balance creating your own legacy against the family history?
It's tough at times, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to break out of the shadow of my grandfather. They say that the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows, and he's a pretty freaking dark shadow. Like he,
Pretty big shadow.
yeah. So, and I feel like everyone in boxing is a little bit in his shadow. You've got people like, someone who's one of the greatest fighters today, Usyk, who, Usyk wins the heavyweight world championship, and then the first thing that they do online was compare him to my grandfather. They were like, Usyk's got the same birthday, Usyk's the same height as Muhammad was, Usyk's the same weight, this, that. They're just comparing him. So, like, it's like everyone in boxing is in his shadow. Me, of course, more than others, but that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with, I want to create my own legacy, and that'll eventually happen.
That's awesome. So let's move into a couple more fun things.
Let's do it.
So before you talked about how you turned down, I think it was a $3 million fight with Jake Paul.
Something like
that, just a ton of money.
Yeah.
And you said you didn't want to do it because you want to keep boxing pure, right? So tell us about that. What are your thoughts on influencer boxing?
Listen, I'm
Give us the
not
truth. Give us
going
the
to-
truth.
This is the
Unfiltered.
God honest truth. I'm not going to hate on no influencers who are getting into boxing. I don't hate on the people who want to not get a job and go towards OnlyFans. I don't hate on those people. You do what you want to do. It's not my cup of tea. It's not. I don't respect it for boxing. It's not the same sport as boxing.
Of course not.
Realistically, you wouldn't say that the WWE is the same as wrestling. That would be a little disrespectful to the wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? But it's a whole nother sport.
Dude,
Like,
that's a great analogy.
you know what I'm
I didn't
saying?
even think about it that way.
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
But like WWE, that's a whole other sport. The guys who do WWE are sick. They are athletic, crazy talented, but it's different than wrestling. So you can't compare it. So influencer boxing, that's more of like a.
So if I jumped into the ring
know.
with Jake Paul, I'm calling you out right now.
Yep.
So if I jumped into the ring with Jake Paul, it wouldn't be as serious. I'm just playing.
It would.
It's not. It's not.
It would not. It would not. You would.
It's not like
you're the ideal
what do you mean? I
candidate
thought it would
for
be
him.
like Crawford and Canelo fighting. It's like the same level of
Man.
talent.
Yeah, no. Listen, not in my book, but in a lot of
Yeah.
people's books, you might be right. You'd have a lot of people watching you.
Yeah, it sells pay-per-views, right?
Yeah,
But-
that's what people care about nowadays.
Right. No, but completely agree.
Yeah.
You can't compare.
No, it's not the same
actual
sport.
fighters versus YouTube
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So I will never.
No hate to any of the YouTube guys.
Yeah,
Just
no
wanna say
hate at
that.
all.
No hate
at all. You will never see me a part of that. You will never see me a part of that. No.
So let's talk about something also that I thought was cool. You brought back the infamous Ali Shuffle, one of your
God.
fights. So walk us through that. How do you prepare to do the shuffle? You gotta
I
get
did
you gotta
prepare
have
to
some,
do
you gotta
I don't
have
know if
some
you saw the
moves.
clip, but I didn't prepare to do the shuffle.
It didn't look bad.
Listen, some people, my name is Nico Ali Walsh. I read some of the bad comments, and some of them were really good. One of them said, there was two. One of them said, that's not Cassius Clay, that's Caucasian Clay. That was one. And two, someone said, that's not the Ali Shuffle, that's the Walsh Waltz. And
Dude.
I gotta kind of, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But listen, my emotion, I had passion, I had emotion. This dude, my opponent was talking to me in the ring. It was a fun night. I did not expect myself to ever be doing that. I probably won't ever do it again.
What's something you want people to understand you, Nico Ali Walsh, not just as a fighter, but as a person, and beyond the family name, just about you?
Man, I would say that I'm really dedicated to life and the importance of things that aren't very earthly. I'm not very tied to earthly possessions, money, fame, stardom. I'm not really tied to those, and it may seem like someone I am because I know you guys see me a lot on social media or boxing pages, but I don't care about any of that stuff. You could take all that stuff away. I don't care about that.
So you have a brother,
Yes.
trains MMA.
Yes.
Do you guys ever train together?
We don't, but when it comes to boxing, he'll ask me boxing questions and he'll ask me technique questions related to boxing. Again, those are two completely separate sports. We live together. That's my brother, my roommate. So we are always together, but you know, we'll train alongside each other. Like tonight I'm going to the gym to spar, and I invited him to come to the gym. So I'll have him hit the bag while I'm sparring. So like, I don't know if that's considered training together, but no, we've never like punched each other.
You never punched each other.
Not
in the
sports
gym.
way.
Obviously,
Yeah.
in a brotherly
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Yes.
Or do you have any hidden hobbies or talents that nobody knows about?
Oh, yes, I do. I went to college. I graduated with a business degree, but I also studied film, so I've written a few screenplays.
Really?
People don't know about that.
What
Yeah,
genre?
Oh man, my family is full of sickos. And this dates back to my grandfather. Like, I think he started it. We're into horror movies, and that's it. Like horror, thriller, anything creepy.
Give us the basic rundown of your best screenplay.
Oh man. I only wrote a couple like short film screenplays. I had to do it for school, but I did it on my own as well. Just weird stories. Just
random crazy horror stuff.
Thriller, horror stuff. Yeah, you know, it's October now, so you know, I'm in the mood. So like, yeah.
This is a perfect segue into my next question. So
Yes.
do you think if you weren't a boxer and you didn't end up going down this path, you'd be doing something in that world?
Absolutely.
Writing screenplays and
Absolutely.
directing films and that kind
I
of stuff?
love that. Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna do that after boxing. I'm real passionate about that as well. There's nothing that even comes close to my love for boxing, but if anything were to, it's that. I actually just saw the movie The Smashing Machine, which is about a UFC fighter, Mark Kerr. I got invited to the premiere to watch that, and like watching that and then watching like a fighter's life, I'm like, man, the story was told so well, and I could relate to it so much. I would love to do something like that one day and make people, you know, relate to me. You watch the Creed movies. I'm sure you've seen the Creed movies. I feel like I can relate to the Creed movies. I'm like, I want to make people, you know, feel that way someday. I want to inspire people.
I think the best scene in the Creed movies is in Creed 2 when he loses the fight. Well, he wins. It was a disqualification for Drago, but he loses the fight, goes into the desert. There's the whole cool montage.
Yes, I remember
of
this.
him relearning the basics, and then he goes back in and he wins the fight.
Listen,
gotta love the Creed series.
I want to inspire people, whether it's from, you know, mainly I gotta do it through my career. I want to inspire people through my career. But yeah, no, that's another route to inspiring people is like film.
That's awesome.
For sure.
So let's go into the last segment of the show. I'm just gonna ask you
do it.
quick rapid fire questions.
I'm
Favorite
ready.
fight of all time?
Rumble in the Jungle.
Favorite fighter outside the family?
Bud.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
What's your go-to meal after fight camp?
Ice cream.
What flavor?
Vanilla. It's weak, but
That's what's
vanilla.
up, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
Everyone who likes vanilla, put it down in the comments. If you like chocolate, you can put it in the comments, but there's gonna be a little bit of hate. Vanilla on top.
Vanilla.
All right, let's go next. You've talked about how you like traveling the world through fighting and seeing different parts of the world. What's a dream city you'd love to fight in?
Tokyo. I'm on fire right now with these questions. I've hit every single one without even
flinching.
Yep.
Okay, who's one fighter today you'd love to test yourself against? Could be not like an actual fight. Actually, you know, you can do a call out here, but also just like a sparring partner you think would be cool to train with.
That I haven't trained with
that
already.
You haven't trained with already.
You know, Canelo and Bud are the biggest fighters in boxing outside of Usyk. I would love to train with Usyk or Canelo one day.
Those are some great ones. And I believe that is all I have for today. So, Nico, we had a great time here today. I had a lot of fun talking with you and hearing about your story and your career. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with the camera and the fans at home? Any messages, any takeaways? What else you got?
Man, no. Thank you for inviting me on this thing. I've got nothing special to say. Please keep following my career, and I'm just trying to, you know, I guess, change the world one little step at a time.
Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on to the show today.
Thank you.
And if you guys like this episode, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that comment down below for Win With Nabs. Catch you guys in the next one.